thought, well, this guy, he's drunk. You know, come out here and buy these ranches to put a spaceship deal out here. He's got to be drinking some kind of bad whiskey or something. It's true. But I guess he's got enough money to do it. Whatever he wants to do, he's got the money to play the game.
From 10 miles outside of town to Highway 62-180 is 45 miles, and he owns all of that on both sides. They don't let anything out about it. This is the entrance, but you have to have the key in order to get in.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Just like an average, ordinary guy until you talk to him, and then you realize this guy's got a lot on his plate, and he knows what he's doing.
5, 4, command at start, 2, 1.
Number one is Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos. He is the first centibillionaire.
Depuis vendredi, la fortune du patron d'Amazon dépasse les 100 milliards de dollars.
I'm using my resources to put in place heavy lifting infrastructure so that the next generation of people can have a dynamic, entrepreneurial explosion into space.
Je li zemlja dovoljno velika da zadovolji apetite Jeffa Bezosa? Amazon. Najveća trgovina na svijetu. Svake sekunde pošalje 158 paketa. Svake godine 5 milijardi. Glavni direktor Amazona, Jeff Bezos, ima jednu jedinu obsesiju. Prodati sve, odmah, posvuda i smjesta ispuniti svaku želju svojih kupaca. Danas ih je 300 milijuna diljem svijeta. Ova multinacionalna korporacija unosi revoluciju u trgovanje i našu potrošnju. Čak je uspjela skratiti vrijeme i prostor. Kako je Amazon ovladao cijelim planetom? Što Jeff Bezos želi, a da to već nema? Kakvu nam budućnost njegova tvrtka želi nametnuti i po kojoj cijeni? Naša priča počinje 1994. u predgrađu Sijetla. Jeff Bezos, 30-godišnjak iz financijskog svijeta, osnovao je Amazon u garaži ove kuće.
I'm Jeff Bezos.
And what is your claim to fame?
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
Where did you get an idea for Amazon.com?
Well, 3 years ago, I was in New York City working for a quantitative hedge fund when I came across the startling statistic that web usage was growing at 2,300% a year. So I decided I would try and find a business plan that made sense in the context of that growth.
Isprva ih je bilo samo 3.
One of the things that was really happening in Seattle at that time was grunge. So you had Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all of that kind of music. So there were plaid shirts on everyone.
Paul Davis jedan je od programera koji su dizajnirali prvu Amazonovu internetsku stranicu.
And Amazon itself was out in a suburb that really was very far from the city and clubs and any kind of scene that might be happening. There were basically 2 programmers working hard at writing code, and Jeff working hard on the sort of businessy side of the new company. There wasn't this kind of really fueled energy, you know, like, oh my God, you know, what's going to be our goal today? What are we going to tick off today? Oh my God, if that isn't done today, things fall apart. It was more just a case of methodically working as quickly as we could. Like, books arrived, somebody was going to have to pack them up and ship them out. And sometimes that would be Jeff. This is like the super early days when it was really just still the 3 of us plus his wife working part-time. Sometimes it would be his wife Mackenzie. Sometimes it would even be Shell or I if there weren't that many and we weren't super tied up in something. This is at a time where, you know, we were handling, you know, maybe less than 20 books per day or something.
"26 godina poslije, Amazon više ne šalje 20 paketa na dan, nego 14 milijuna. Posjeduje više od 250 skladišta i dostavlja pošiljke diljem 5 kontinenata. Uspjeh Amazona privukao je pozornost Stacy Mitchell, direktorice Instituta za lokalnu autonomiju, istraživačkog centra koji proučava razvoj američkog gospodarstva. Tijekom posljednjih 10 godina istraživačica pomno prati nezaustavljivi razvoj Amazona.
Amazon is it's like this invisible force, you know, it's got its tentacles in so many aspects of the economy. There's nothing that Amazon isn't trying to get into. They're now the biggest clothing retailer in the US, and they produce a lot of clothing. Bookstores, toy stores, hardware stores. It's kind of grown invisibly. It doesn't get noticed or covered by the media in the same way because it's not physically present except in just a few places.
Amazon is growing so rapidly, they are creating a lot of jobs, but as they grow, they're destroying a lot of jobs. And we found that for every 1 new Amazon job that had been created, there were 2 jobs that were lost at existing businesses.
We've lost about 85,000 independent small businesses in the last 10 years. We've lost about 35,000 small and mid-sized manufacturers. You know, Amazon isn't the only cause, but it's the top cause of those losses.
Stacy Mitchell istražuje Amazonovu strategiju osvajanja tržišta.
There's a kind of a balancing act that they seem to walk between slowly taking over everything or rapidly taking over everything and yet not being so visible that people become alarmed. So in some ways, the train has left the station, and as a society, if we're going to try to figure out how to bring that back, it's much harder to do now than it would have been 10 years ago if we had noticed what was really happening.
Danas je u SAD-u Amazon zaslužan za polovinu ukupne internetske prodaje. To je najuspješnija internetska trgovina koja prodaje odjeću, elektroniku, knjige, DVD, proizvode za osobnu njegu i kozmetiku. Povrh toga nudi i video sadržaje na zahtjev, glazbu, video igre, pohranu podataka, osiguranje i lijekove. Amazon je i svojevrsna vizija Amerike, progresivne i liberalne. Dobar je primjer toga činjenica da je kupio Whole Foods, lidera u prodaji biološki uzgojene hrane. Jeff Bezos kompleksan je čovjek. Osim što je glavni direktor i ulagač, 2013. osobno kupio Washington Post, jedne od najuglednijih američkih novina, koje oštro kritizira Donalda Trumpa. Amazonovo carstvo malo pomalo širi svoj utjecaj u svijetu.
Yeah, really, Amazon at this point it represents the transformation of the American economy. I mean, the old saying when I first came to the street and kind of back in the day was what's good for GM is good for the country. Today, that's largely Amazon as the largest market cap company. It's greatly intertwined with the entire American and global economy.
Amazon essentially controls the marketplace. It's not really a market, it's a private arena. Amazon sets the rules. It gets to decide which companies get the best spots, which companies rank in the search rankings, who can even be there, what they're allowed to sell, how they can communicate with their customers, what they have to pay in order to be part of it.
The old saying is if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So Amazon looks like a monopoly, trades like a monopoly, makes money like a monopoly, behaves like a monopoly. So when I looked at it, you have to use monopolies in the traditional sense to find a comparable type company.
The real definition of a monopoly is when you have the ability to control the terms by which other players can access the market. It's when you have that kind of power to dictate what happens. And Amazon has that power. Amazon has become a kind of gatekeeper. And their strategy is very much about being the e-commerce platform for the entire world.
Amazon osvaja jedan teritorij za drugim. Nakon SAD-a, Jeff Bezos dokopao se Europe, Japana, Kanade, Brazila, Australije. Danas se presudna bitka za tržište odigrava u Indiji. Amazon je došao u Indiju 2013. u namjeri da ovlada tržištem vrijednim $100 milijardi. Pošto poto.
What Amazon has been able to achieve globally is they've been able to win pretty much all major markets globally, right? Whether it is in Europe or in the US and some of the other Asian markets as well outside of China. The only battlefield which is still open is India. So A, this is the only battlefield is open, and B, it is a significantly large battlefield.
Amazon now, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
Indija bilježi najbrži rast gospodarstva na svijetu, 7% 2017. Posljednjih godina 200 milijuna Indijaca prešlo je u srednju klasu, koja ima pristup internetu i želi trošiti novac. Zbog toga sektor internetske prodaje u Indiji svake godine raste za 30 do 50%. Amazon nije jedina tvrtka koja želi iskoristiti taj rast. Sa Jeffom Bezosom natiču se Flipkart, predvodnik na indijskom tržištu koji su osnovala dva bivša Amazonova zaposlenika, te Paytm, novi start-up koji financira kineski div Alibaba. Te tri tvrtke vode rat za milijarde dolara. Jeff Bezos prve godine uložio 2 milijarde u Indiju i još 2 milijarde sljedeće godine. Kako bi osvojio dio tržišta, Amazon je u Indiju već uložio 5 milijardi dolara s gubitkom.
All these three players are armed till the tooth. They have a lot of ammunition, a lot of funding, big guys backing up, so you don't see anyone falling apart anytime soon.
Bitka je još složenija jer se te multinacionalne korporacije suočavaju s veoma snažnim nacionalističkim reakcijama u Indiji. Primjerice u Old Delhiju, u trgovačkom središtu indijske prijestolnice. Ovdje su trgovačke strukture već stotinama godina jednake.
हमने कुछ भी नहीं करा है, हमारी तरफ या होंगे भी क्यों, व्यापारियों की तरफ क्यों, क्यों किस तरीके से समझते हैं हमने आज तक कोई डंडा नहीं उठाया, किसी के मारा नहीं। हम अपने मंत्रियों के जाके उनके घर पे घराव करो ना, हमें दूसरों के घर पे घराव करने की जरूरत है। राजीव जी हमने जो अपने बीच में जो यहाँ समझाए गए हैं उनको भी मैं चाहता हूँ पहले आप उनकी बात भी सुने, उसके बाद में डिस्कशन करेंगे। हम तो यही बैठे, हम
Za stolom je 15 gnjevnih muškaraca, najvećih trgovaca u Old Delhiju. Svaki posjeduje nekoliko prodavaonica u četvrti i prve su žrtve pojave Amazona.
उसमें दिखते थे कि ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी व्यापारी के रूप में आई हिंदुस्तान के अंदर और धीरे धीरे उसने इतनी जगह जमा ली कि हिंदुस्तान को गुलाम कर दिया।
Trgovci su u Old Delhiju zabrinuti, no imaju jedan adut kojim mogu usporiti Amazonov rast. Naime, oni tvore biračku bazu BJP-a, Indijske narodne stranke koja je od 2014. na vlasti u Indiji. Njezin predsjednik premijer Narendra Modi zagovara jači nacionalizam i protekcionizam u gospodarstvu. Indijska vlada nedavno je predstavila zakonski prijedlog koji bi mogao Amazonu znatno suziti manevarski prostor. Konkretno, spriječiti ga da ruši cijene. Jeff Bezos morao se upustiti u diplomatsku igru. Redovito se sastaje s premijerom Modijem.
It's a significant stake for Amazon and for the kind of investments which Amazon has been doing in the Indian market is reflection of the point that how seriously they take this market. And if it fails, it will reflect bad in a global way for Amazon. It's not a regional story, it's a global story for Amazon.
Kako bi se suprotstavili Amerikancima, trgovci Old Delhija odlučili su se pobrinuti da ih vlada ne zaboravi.
Their plans is for 5 years or 10 years down the line. Because they have deep pockets, they can afford to sustain big losses. That is why they are coming to India. You can see any example in the world. Wherever they went, in the first instance, they created their own market and again, then created their monopoly and charges were huge.
Ovaj će autobus obilaziti zemlju i upozoravati druge trgovce i cjelokupno stanovništvo na novu prijetnju Indiji. Amazon je 2018. objavio da namjerava uložiti još $2 milijarde u Indiju. Njegove su operacije u toj zemlji do sad rezultirale gubitkom $883 milijuna. Uložiti veliku svotu novca, često uz gubitke radi osvajanja tržišta, glavna je strategija Jeffa Bezosa u cijelom svijetu. Unatoč tom riskantnom pristupu, šef Amazona i dalje uživa povjerenje financijskih tržišta. Vrijednost Amazonovih dionica neprestano raste. U posljednjih 5 godina vrijednost im se upeterostručila.
Amazon lost about $3 billion in its first 6 years in business, selling books at a loss. And it worked, you know. I mean, now Amazon is the dominant book retailer with more than half the market. And they've consistently done that in one sector after another, where they go in, they lose money. Other companies that don't have the same backing from Wall Street, aren't able to operate at a loss. They go out of business. Amazon takes over. You know, and this is a company that is able to lose money like that in a way that no one else is.
Jeff Bezos, CEO, I mean, one of the things when you're analyzing a company is management's credibility. He spent time on Wall Street at a large hedge fund. So I believe he sort of intuitively knew what institutional investors were looking for, knew how to educate them about timeframes. I mean, as an analyst, it's not just about how much cash, but you want to know when that cash is expected to come in the door. That helps you build better financial models. And so I believe he did a good job being able to speak the language to financial market participants.
Jeff Bezos has been very astute at how he communicates what he's doing to Wall Street. And he always talks about this idea that Amazon is for the long term, that he's not focused on the short term, that what he's building is something much bigger and it's over the long term. And Wall Street investors have very much bought into that idea, and they have backed this company even in the years when Amazon lost a lot of money, years when they made very little money. Wall Street continued to back this company.
Jeff Bezos uspješno je nametnuo svoju dugoročnu viziju gospodarstvu koje je usmjereno na kratkoročni profit. Zahvaljujući povjerenju u Wall Streeta, Jeff Bezos postigao je da sva svjetska roba bude dostupna u samo jedan klik. Taj ideal dostupnosti nastao je prije 50 godina u San Francisku, prijestolnici američke kontrakulture. Velika četvorka, Google, Apple, Facebook i Amazon, neočekivani su nasljednici kalifornijskih hipija.
A click, like that. Press your middle finger to your thumb, drag them apart, snapping like that. You can find adult pajamas with cat memes or typewriter's fashion manual. You can have insulin syringes and wallets, greeting cards, eating books corporeal like that. You can have anything delivered to your door, a snap, and forever to consider why you did.
U 60. godinama 20. stoljeća tisuće mladih Amerikanaca u Kaliforniji protivile su se industrijskom društvu, Vijetnamskom ratu i atomskoj bombi. Odlučili su se vratiti zemlji i živjeti u zajednicama utemeljenima na novim načelima, komunama.
They were anti-big technology. They didn't like bombs. They didn't like heavy industry. but they loved LSD. They loved automobiles. They loved VW vans. They loved the products, the kind of consumer products of industrial society. And what they wanted to do was take those consumer products and repurpose them, turn them into the foundations of a new kind of society, a society built on shared experiences, personal ambition, consumption. Consumption for the communalists was going to be the foundation of a consciousness-oriented society.
Whole Earth katalog bio je dio tog projekta. Taj časopis i katalog osmislio je Stuart Brand, svestrani bivši student biologije. Želio je pomoći pripadnicima komuna da pronađu sve što im je potrebno da se sami snađu i govorio im je gdje mogu nabaviti potreban materijal.
So weird because, right, so these people are going to build farms, but what kind of tools do they take? Well, they take books. And that's because what people wanted in the communes was not just farm equipment, but consciousness equipment. They wanted to change their minds. Catalog is absolutely central to the counterculture and to the commune movement of the late 1960s, but it's also central to Silicon Valley. They found this world, and they began to reimagine computers as the kinds of tools that the Whole Earth Catalog had promised.
When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation. It was idealistic, overflowing with neat tools and great notions. On the back cover of their final issue were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself.
You know, when you look at the catalog, it is trying to give you access to goods that will transform your life, and it is trying to be whole. It is trying to literally be the whole world of goods. You can see that now in the Amazon world on steroids. Amazon is in many ways trying to be the whole world of access to the things you might want to buy. In its structure, in its interconnections, in its being a global information system to supply goods that make your life better, it's the catalog online.
Je li Amazon, zahvaljujući internetu, globalizirao ideale Whole Earth kataloga? Danas njegov osnivač, Stuart Brand, ima veoma bogatog prijatelja Jeffa Bezosa. Njih dvojica imaju jedan zajednički projekt. U središtu teksaške pustinje grade monumentalan sat. U taj projekt Jeff Bezos uložio $42 milijuna. No tu je kraj sličnostima između hipija i Wall Streeta. Bezos je libertarijanac koji zagovara minimalnu državu te se zauzima za potpunu slobodu u poduzetništvu bez zakona i propisa.
Amazon burned off the social vision that animated so many in the 1960s. The hope of a better world through consumption, through interconnected information systems, that's gone. At least it's gone for the consumers of Amazon. And it's gone along with my local bookstores. It's gone along with some of my local shops. It's gone. The civic world is not something that I see Amazon caring about at all. And I think that's a great shame. I think it's picked up on one of the core elements of the Whole Earth Catalog, but it's lost whatever civic vision animated the catalog. And that's a great shame.
Mein Name ist Alexander, Schreiber. Ich bin aufgewachsen und wohne wieder in Leipzig. Bin 41 Jahre alt und ich arbeite seit fast 7 Jahren, August 2011, bei Amazon in Leipzig. Und die Pickwege dazwischen angelegt. Ist also über die Jahre sehr viel zusammengekommen und inzwischen bin ich in jeder der 4 großen Abteilungen Receive, Stow, Pick and Packing einsetzbar.
Prije dolaska u Amazon, Aleksandar je bio vojnik u njemačkoj vojsci, no u skladištu se suočio s nemilosrdnom radnom kulturom u kojoj se prema zaposlenicima odnose kao prema robotima.
Denn es wird in der Regel so umgesetzt, dass ein Arbeitsplatz, ein Prozess konstruiert wird und anschließend die menschliche Größe eingepasst wird als Puzzleteil und nicht andersrum. Im Haus ist nicht der einzelne Vorgang, einen einzigen Artikel einzulagern oder einen einzigen Artikel abzuholen oder einen einzelnen Artikel in ein Päckchen zu verpacken, sondern die Herausforderung ist die ständige Wiederholung. Dass man es gegebenenfalls 500 Mal am Tag macht, dass man es gegebenenfalls 10.000 Mal in der Woche macht, dass man es 500.000 Mal vielleicht im Jahr macht. Und dabei körperlich, also physisch gesund zu bleiben und vom Kopf psychisch das Ganze so abzulegen, dass man es nach 500.000 Mal immer noch genau macht, immer noch gut genug macht.
You have a scanner that there's a line telling you where you have to go. When you pack, you have to move the way where computers stand and the scanners, and the managers and teachers and leaders teach you to make so-called sequation of movement. So first you take this hand, you pack like this, and you pack and do the line, and you really have to follow all these movements. There's something new in this sense, that you work as a machine, but you are also controlled by machines, and this is something scary. If you don't follow this rhythm of that corporation push on you, you are just not accepted. They tell you if you don't like working here, you just go. We don't want unhappy workers.
Und dass ich, wenn ich das im Jahr 500.000 Mal machen muss, ich mich nicht so selbst langweile, dass ich in das beispielsweise psychologische Bore-out-Syndrom falle. Das dann die gleichen Effekte hat wie ein Burnout, aber durch ständige Unterforderung, geistige Unterforderung geprägt ist. Das ist die Herausforderung und das ist die psychische Anforderung an die Mitarbeiter, die Hauptanforderung in meinen Augen.
Na crni petak sindikati u Njemačkoj pozivaju na štrajk.
Ich begrüße euch erstmal. Herzlich willkommen beim Streik zur Prime Week bei Amazon. Ihr habt das heute richtig gut auf die Beine gestellt. Erstmal einen Applaus dafür, Alex.
Dankeschön an die, die mitgeholfen haben beim Rausholen. Hat gut geklappt, merci.
U Europi se Jeff Bezos suočava sa snažnim državama u kojima je socijalna zaštita osobito važna i gdje zaposlenici imaju veća prava. U posljednjih 5 godina Verdi, glavni njemački sindikat, organizira štrajkove u 11 Amazonovih skladišta u zemlji.
Hast du da auf der Eintrittserklärung eine Erreichbarkeit telefonisch oder E-Mail mit angegeben? Gut.
Radnici poneprije zahtijevaju povišicu plaća. Zahvaljujući ovakvim društvenim akcijama, radnici iz skladišta u Leipzigu uspješno su se izborili za povećanje od 11,2% u 5 godina.
Dann bis morgen. Ja, habe ich. Danke euch. Merci. Steffen, ciao.
Travanj 2018. Velika njemačka medijska grupa Axel Springer dodijelit će Bezosu nagradu za najinovativniju osobu godine. Verdi je pak pozvao zaposlenike iz cijele Europe na prosvjed ispred zgrade. S Njemcima danas prosvjeduju i Poljaci, Talijani i Francuzi. Ima ih čak 1000.
Welcome to Berlin.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Today, Amazon is employing 566,000 people. You are probably the biggest job creator of recent times. At the same time, you're aggressively criticized by unions and by media for paying low wages, for inappropriate working conditions. How do you deal with these accusations?
If you're going to do anything new or innovative, you have to be willing to be misunderstood. If you can't afford to be misunderstood, then for goodness sake, don't do anything new or innovative. I'm very proud of our working conditions, and I'm very proud of the wages that we pay. In Germany, we employ 16,000 people. We pay at the high end of the range for any comparable work.
We demand wages and benefits that allow us to work less so we can live more.
We have very good communications with our employees, so we don't believe that we need a union to be an intermediary between us and our employees.
Congratulate you for all you have achieved.
Thank you, Matthias.
And congratulations.
You're very nice. Thank you. That was great. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Amazon je 2017. ostvario $178 milijardi prihoda. Ta korporacija caruje sektorom internetske prodaje. Ali Amazon je predvodnik i u drugom području koje nema veze s paketima ni robom, ali ima stratešku važnost. Riječ je o cloudu, oblaku, internetskoj infrastrukturi za pohranu podataka. Cijele baze podataka fizički su pohranjene u Amazonovim centrima, golemim zgradama s informatičkim serverima. Amazon posjeduje 120 ovakvih centara s podacima diljem svijeta. Amazon Web Services bio je 2017. zaslužan za 12% prihoda, ali čak 60% dobiti.
Amazon a lot as a retailer, but it's a mistake to think of Amazon that way. Amazon is a company that really wants to control the underlying infrastructure of the economy. So it wants to be the platform on which all buying and selling happens. It wants to be basically the interface between all buyers and sellers. It is a major part of the cloud. It's Amazon Web Services controls about a third of the world's cloud computing capacity. And increasingly, it's moving into shipping and package delivery. There isn't anything in history that's quite like Amazon. I mean, it's completely a new thing. We've never really encountered anything like this. But you can think about it in some ways like a railroad in the sense that that's what Amazon controls, and lots of other companies need access to that in order to get to market. That's an incredibly powerful position. I don't think Amazon has any other competitor that could potentially challenge it. I think the only thing that could stop Amazon today would be government intervention.
Amazon je svjestan rizika te sve više ulaže u odnose s vladama. U 17 godina njegovi su troškovi lobiranja otišli u nebo. U SAD-u su porasli s $492.000 2000. na 13 milijuna 2017. U Europi iznose najmanje 2 milijuna eura. Hoće li Jeff Bezos upotrijebiti taj novac da kontrira sve manje susretljivo Europi? Godine 2017. Europska je komisija prvi put napala tu tvrtku. Margarete Vestager, povjerenica za tržišno natjecanje, kaznila je Amazon zbog porezne prijevare.
The Commission has today adopted a decision that Amazon's tax benefits are illegal under EU state aid rules. A tax ruling granted by Luxembourg has reduced Amazon's tax bill in more than 8 years, between May 2006 and June 2014. It was not justified. Amazon now has to repay the tax benefit worth around 250 million euros plus interest.
Amazon je platio 250 milijuna, ali Luksemburg se žalio na tu odluku, što dokazuje da ne podupiru sve države povjereničin pristup ni druge mjere koje promiču poreznu ravnopravnost.
The thing with Amazon, and we know that from the tax case, is that you don't necessarily make profits, but you create value. So you create value on the stock exchange, but you don't make profit in your business. So people make money by buying and selling stocks instead of making money by having a profit coming out of the business in itself. And one of the reasons why we are so eager also to have a sort of broad European digital taxation is to make sure that we get it right. Because digital companies on average pay 9% in tax, where ordinary businesses on average pay 23% in tax.
Europa nastoji uvesti novi porez specifično namijenjen za veliku četvorku, uključujući Amazon. Oporezivali bi se njihovi prihodi, a ne dobit, jer ti internetski divovi obično pohranjuju dobit u zemljama s niskim poreznim stopama. Francuska jedina brani tu inicijativu.
We have all had a wake-up call to say, well, yes, technology is fascinating and it produces great things that we can do, but there's a bad side to everything. There's a threat to our democracy, there's a threat to the way we do business, there's a threat for us as consumers to be respected in the marketplace. We need to get in control of that.
Eto kako Amazon doživljava svijet. To je svijet u kojem jedna jedina tvrtka ima kontrolu nad distribucijom svih naših svakodnevnih proizvoda i nad infrastrukturom našega gospodarstva.
When I'm buying stuff on Amazon or receiving packages or I have friends who are doing it, I'm like, yes, awesome, man, that's a great thing that we built. But as I said, if I put on my other hats of being a citizen, then I'm a lot more questioning of whether I really feel any pride in that. I think most of the time I feel almost the opposite, really. That I help to create something that may not turn out to really be a net good in the world.
The issue is who shapes the future of our country? Is it us or is it Amazon? That's the question.
Na zapadnoj obali SAD-a, u Sijetlu, to se pitanje više i ne postavlja. Ovdje je Amazon već nametnuo svoju viziju svijeta budućnosti. Na prvi pogled to je idealan svijet. Sjedište tvrtke u ovoj zgradi koja se zove Day One, prvi dan. Podno nje nova je zgrada koju je naručio Jeff Bezos. To je niz staklenih kugli u kojima su rijetke tropske biljke, svojevrstan novi biotop u kojem zaposlenici Amazona rade u skladu s ukročenom i pripitomljenom prirodom. Amazon zauzima ukupno 20% površine gradskog središta. U 8 godina 40.000 novih zaposlenika iz cijeloga svijeta došlo je raditi u Amazon. Često su mladi i dobro, što više izvrsno plaćeni, te mogu potpuno uživati u Amazonovu načinu života i iskorištavati njegove inovacije. Ormariće iz kojih mogu u bilo koje doba pokupiti pošiljke. Ili Amazon Go, supermarket bez blagajne. Kupac uđe s pomoću pametnog telefona i računalo mu automatski skine novac s računa. Kako bi se sve te pridošlice nekamo smjestile, posvuda niču nove luksuzne zgrade. Zahvaljujući Amazonu, Seattle je postao omiljeni grad američkih menadžera. Ali noću grad pokazuje posve drukčije lice. Otkako se Amazon pojavio sa svojim mnogobrojnim zaposlenicima, stanarina u Seattlu svake godine raste za 10%. Najsiromašniji ne mogu više naći stan, čak i ako imaju posao. Ovdje 30% beskućnika ima posao. Najmlađa zastupnica u gradskoj skupštini, Teresa Mosqueda, stavila je stambeno pitanje u prvi plan svojeg mandata.
We saw about a 600% increase in homelessness, and we saw twice the amount of people who are living in RVs become homeless. That number is immense. You can see the crisis of poverty and homelessness on the street. However, here in Seattle, we have a higher rate of homelessness per capita than cities like Los Angeles, which is a call for action, and it's imperative that we do something. We have 1,000 people who are moving to this region a week, which means if we're not building housing, the cost of housing increases. People who were in otherwise affordable rental units really have nowhere to go. They are falling into the street or they are getting displaced and pushed out of Seattle.
Proljeće 2018. Gradska skupština predložila je novi porez. Najveće tvrtke u gradu, uključujući Amazon, morat će svake godine plaćati $500 po zaposleniku kako bi se financirala gradnja socijalnih naselja.
We had initially proposed a tax package that would have brought in $75 million a year, which is a drop in the bucket of what we actually needed. We ended up with $47 million per year, which Amazon agreed to. The proposal was passed unanimously by the council and signed by the mayor. Within 24 hours of Amazon agreeing to that amount of taxing each corporation $275 per head for 5 years for just the largest companies, after they agreed to that, within 24 hours, they changed their mind. They funded the opposition and ran a campaign to undermine it.
No head tax! No head tax! No head tax!
Amazon je poveo kampanju protiv inicijative gradske skupštine. Seattle je bio podijeljen. Kako bi se suprotstavili korporaciji, građani su izašli na ulice tražiti socijalnu pravdu. Amazon je pobjedio u bici za javno mijenje. Njegovu je peticiju potpisalo 45.000 ljudi. 12. lipnja 2018. Gradska skupština Seattla ponovno je glasovala o porezu pred aktivistima iz obaju tabora. Crveni protiv zelenih. Jedni za porez, drugi protiv. U samo nekoliko minuta gradska skupština odustala je od svoje mjere za pomoć beskućnicima. Samo 2 zastupnika, uključujući Teresu Mosquedu, glasovalo je protiv povlačenja prijedloga o porezu.
Mosqueda, vote for nay. O'Brien, vote for aye. 7 in favor, 2 opposed.
So the bill passes and the chair will sign it.
Tri mjeseca poslije, Jeff Bezos najavio je da pokreće vlastitu stambenu inicijativu. Privatni fond vrijedan $2 milijarde, koji će pomoći obiteljima u lošim stambenim uvjetima u cijeloj zemlji.
And I want to make sure that public policy is driven by those who were elected to pass public policy, not by the whims of one CEO or one corporation who on one day decides to donate money. I think it's a real warning signal to the entire country that we have got to be able to govern and do so with integrity to make sure that our most vulnerable are being protected and invested in. We need public policy to be passed by those who've been elected to do so.
Svake noći, gradsko poglavarstvo u Sijetlu otvara svoja vrata onima koji nemaju kamo otići.